Ursula had called Daddy to tell him she was going to Charleston for one last consultation with Dr. Ormsby, and asked if I could go over to Builair to stay with Max. Nettie and Ovid roomed over the garage, and it was not a good idea for Max to be completely alone. Ursula would be back as early as possible on Saturday. "Do you want me to go? Or do you want to go?" Daddy asked me. We were in the lab. It was September hot. Sometimes it seemed September is the hottest month of all. Daddy wore shorts and a white t-shirt. I had on shorts too and a halter top. I'd just scrubbed down the floor and cleaned my tanks. Max shouldn't be alone. I looked at him. I'd talked with him about Max, and he treated me as an intelligent adult. I didn't want him to treat me as a child now. He didn't. I've talked with Dr. Netson, and he doesn't expect any radical problems in the immediate future, but this disease is unpredictable. So if Max should show any kind of alarming symptoms, call him at once, or call Rennie, and of course, call me. "Okay, but you don't think there will—" "No, Paul, I don't think so. Your mother and I are very fond of Max and Ursula, and I'm glad we can help. Even a little. Max has given you a lot in self-confidence, particularly." Daddy was sitting in an old leather chair that was too battered even for our house. I perched on the sagging arm. "Daddy, people are so complicated." "That hasn't just occurred to you, has it, Paul?" "No, but Max and Ursula seem particularly complicated. In a way, they are, but I prefer their kind of complication to some of the cocktail-partying, wife-swapping, promiscuous lives of some of the people in Cowpertown. And Mulletville. Yes, many of them are on third or fourth marriages. Love has to be worked at. And that's not popular nowadays. I'm glad you and Mother don't worry about being popular. We do work at our marriage, and it's worth it. I'm glad you trust me," I said. "Over the years, you've proven yourself to be trustworthy. I hope I'll never let you down." He pulled me onto his knees. "You will," he said gently. "It's human nature. We all let each other down. I may be putting too much responsibility on you and allowing you to go over to Builair to stay with a very ill woman. I want to go. I know you do, and I'm glad you do. Your mother and I have always given you a great deal of responsibility, and you're a very capable young woman. Just remember, call me if there's even the slightest sense of emergency." "All right." But I didn't get a chance to call. On Friday, I piloted everybody home in the boat, then packed my overnight bag. Mother was going to drive me to Builair because Daddy had some kind of meeting to go to and would need the Land Rover. "Just call on Saturday morning when you're ready and I'll be over." Urs said she might be able to bring me home. Whichever, just remember it's no trouble for me. She dropped me outside the house and waited till Ovid opened the door, waved and drove off. Ovid led me through the house and onto the back veranda. The ceiling fans were whirring, but the air was oppressive. Max held out her hands in greeting. "Heavy electrical storms forecast, with possible damaging winds. I lost a great oak in the last storm, and I don't want to lose any more. Nettie has fixed a cold meal for us and left it in the fridge. She and Ovid feel the heat, and I told them to take the evening off. We'll leave the dishes in the sink, and they'll take care of them in the morning." We watched Ovid retreating toward the kitchen, a slight figure in his dark pants and white coat and cottony hair. Then I regarded Max and was grateful that the pained lines were not deep. Ovid came back to refill the pitcher of lemonade, then said goodnight to us and left. I wondered if he and Nettie knew how ill Max really was. She took a long drink and put her glass down. "Do you believe in the soul, Polly?" Max never hesitated to ask cosmic questions out of the blue. "Yes." I thought maybe she'd turn her scorn on me, but she didn't. "So what is it, this thing called soul?" This scared me. Full of adhesions. It's your you and my me." "What do you mean by that?" "It's what makes us us, different from anybody else in the world. Like snowflakes? You have seen snow, haven't you?" "Yes, of course you have. All those trillions of snowflakes, each different from the other. More than snowflakes, the soul isn't ephemeral, a separate entity from the body." I shook my head. "I think it's It's the part that, in your painting of the harbor at Rio, it's the part which made you know what paint to use, which brush, how to make it alive." Max looked at the silver pitcher, sparkling with drops, as though it were a crystal ball. "So it's us at our highest and least self-conscious. That's sort of what I mean. The amazing thing is that one's soul, or whatever one calls it, is strongest when when one is least aware. That's when the soul is most aware. We get in our own way, and that diminishes our souls. She pushed up from her chair and headed toward the table, which was already set with silver and china. Be an angel and bring the food out to the veranda. We ate comfortably together. Max had a book with her and began leafing through it, looking for something. There's a passage our conversation reminds me of. What? In the Upanishads, a series of Sanskrit works which are part of the Veda. Here it is, Paul, listen. In this body, in this town of spirit, there is a little house shaped like a lotus, and in that house there is a little space. There is as much of that little space within the heart as there is in the whole world outside. Maybe that little space is the reality of your you and my me. Could I copy that, I asked. Of course. I've been watching that little space within your heart, enlarging all year as more and more ideas are absorbed into it. Some people close their doors and lock them so that nothing can come in, and the space cannot hold anything as long as the heart clutches in self-protection or lust or greed. But if we're not afraid, that little space can be so large that one could put a whole universe in it and still have room for more. She stopped and her hand went up and pressed against her chest. I could see pain dimming the silver in her eyes. Get me some whiskey, quickly. I ran into the house and into the dining room, turning on the lights. The Waterford chandelier sparkled into bloom. I hurried to the sideboard and got the decanter of bourbon with its silver label. Turning out the light, I ran back to the veranda and poured Max a good tot. She drank it in a gulp, so quickly that she almost choked, then sighed and put the glass down. It works, and quickly. I'm sorry, Paul. I don't like you to see me in pain. I reached across the glass top of the table and put my hands on hers. It was hot and dry. Mine was cold. Don't be afraid, little one. I'm all right. These episodes are bad, but they don't last. She reached for the decanter and poured herself some more. You're sure I shouldn't call? Polly, I'm all right. There's nothing anyone can do. Don't fret. The pain's much better. I took our plates out to the kitchen, rinsed them and left them in the sink for Nettie and Ovid. I thought that maybe I should try to call Daddy, and then decided that it would make her angry. When I got back to the veranda, dark was falling. The long evenings of summer were behind us. Night was closing in early, though the shadows of evening still held the humid heat of the day. Max was leaning back in her chair, and there was just enough light for me to see that look of pain had eased. She took a sip of bourbon and put her glass down. It leaves me tired, she said. Let's sit here for a while and watch the stars. I sat across from her, glancing at the unlit candles in their hurricane globes. Do you want any light? No, even candle flame adds to the heat. Look, there's a star. The wind was rising, but it was not a cooling wind. The gentle whirring of the paddle fan, the slow rolling of the waves across the sand, the chirring of locusts were hot summer sounds. A seagull screamed. Another star, Max said. All the galaxies, the billions of galaxies, the possibility of billions of island universes floating like bubbles in a great spacious sea. There's the Big Dipper, I said, relaxing a little. The Great Bear, Max said. I talk about the importance of size. The microcosm is immense as the macrocosm. But then I think of Builair sitting on a small island on an insignificant planet. How can God keep track of it all? Do you think God really does count the hours of our heads? Yes. Why? I don't know why. It's just what I think. At least you don't give me glib answers. If human beings can program computers to count astronomical figures, why should God do less? If there isn't a God who cares about our living and dying, then it's all an echoing joke. I don't want my life to be a bad joke, so I have to believe that God does care, that there is someone who began everything and who loves and cares. She shivered. Funny how intense heat can make one break out in goose flesh, just like cold. Let's go up to my room. It's cooler there. Why don't you get ready for bed, and I will too. We paused on the landing, as always, to look at the statue of the laughing Christ. The light touched the joyous face, and there was compassion in the eyes. While I was changing in the green guest room, thunder began to rumble in the distance. The air was so thick with humidity you could squeeze it. The sky flickered faintly with electricity. Max's nightgown was ivory satin, so lovely it could have been worn as an evening dress. She sat on the white rug, her hands about her knees. A Chinese screen was in front of the fireplace, gold background with flowers and herons painted on it. "You've grown over the summer," Max said. "You're going to be tall." My old seersucker nightgown was too short. "Not too tall, I hope." "You come from a tall family, and you carry it well. Don't ever slump. And just makes one look taller. Hold your head high like royalty." The light from one of the lamps glinted off the decanter of bourbon and onto Max's glasses, half full of amber liquid. I hoped that she knew how much she should drink. Then I noticed a bottle of champagne. "I don't really need anything," I said awkwardly. "There's more lemonade if I get thirsty." "I've already uncorked the champagne," Max said. "Hold out your glass." I picked up the tall fluted glass, which was on the hearth in front of the Chinese screen, held it out, and she poured. I thought her hand was a little unsteady, and I was concerned. Why should I worry about that decanter of bourbon, or that maybe Max was drinking too much? If she was dying and it eased the pain, what difference did it make? But it did. It did make a difference. This was not the Max I knew, the Max who made me believe there were wide worlds open for Polyhymnia O'Keeffe. Thunder again, low, menacing. "To you," Max said, her voice slurring. "To all that you can be." Some of the whiskey spilled on the rug. I wanted to throw it at the Chinese screen. This could not be Max, this woman with her hand clutching the decanter of bourbon. She poured herself more. Her eyes were too bright, her cheeks too flushed. Lightning flashed again, brightening the flowers on the screen. "That's too close," Max said as the thunder rose. We could hear the wind whipping the trees. "I'm afraid, oh, little one, I'm so afraid." Not of the thunderstorm. Afraid of the dark? Afraid of nothingness? Of being alone, of not being? This was naked, primordial fear. I wanted to call Daddy, but what would I say? Max is drinking too much and she's afraid of dying? Lightning again, but this time there were several seconds before the thunder. "Are you afraid?" Max whispered. "No, I don't mind thunderstorms as long as I'm not alone." A slow wave of thunder rolled over her response. "I need her words slurred, "an affirmation of being." She picked up her glass. I glanced at the decanter and saw that it was half empty. "Oh, Max," I wailed silently. "I wish you wouldn't." She bent toward me, whispering, "Oh, my little Polly, it's all so short. No more than the blink of an eye. Why are you afraid of Max? Why?" Her breath was heavy with whiskey. Her words were thick. I was afraid. I didn't know what to do, how to stop her, how to make her be Max again. In the next flash of lightning, she stood up, and in the long satin gown, she seemed 7 feet tall, and she was swaying, so drunk she couldn't walk, and then she fell. I rolled out of the way. She reached for me, and she was sobbing. I scrambled to my feet, ran. I heard her coming after me. I turned on the landing, rushed down the stairs, heard her unsteady feet, then a crash, and turned to see that she had knocked over the statue. I ran on, panting, past the dining room, slipped in my bare feet on the polished floor, and almost fell. I reached out to steady myself, and my hand hit the light switch. And the crystal chandelier bloomed with light. The light touched the smile on the face of the portrait of Max's father. "Pa!" she screamed out, staggering toward me, carrying the statue. "Damn you! Damn you! I'm just like you! Damn you!" I pushed open the heavy front door and burst out into the pelting rain. I ran up the long drive, hardly realizing I had on only my nightgown. The crushed shells hurt my feet, but did not slow me down. My nightgown was drenched and clung to my body. I felt a sharp pain in my foot. Rain streamed from my hair and into my eyes, so that the headlights of an approaching car were nearly on me before I saw them. I heard the shells crunching under the tires and veered to the side of the road. Brakes were slammed on. The car stopped. A window was open, and someone looked out. "Polly!" It was Ursula. "Something told me." She flung open the door. "Get in, child." Ursula would take care of everything. I stumbled into the car. "Child, what happened?" "Max is drunk." "Oh, she's drunk, and I got away from her and ran. She..." ran after me. She knocked over the statue of the laughing, and the light came on and hit the portrait of her father, and I babbled on, hardly knowing what I was saying. Oh, Max, Ursula said. Oh, Max. She started the car again and drove up to the house. Wait here, child. She ran indoors. I heard her calling, Max, Max, dear, it's us. Where are you? And the door slammed on her words. And that is the end of the first part of A House Like a Lotus.